First of all, let me check my microphone. Testing, testing. 3, 2, 1. You guys don't know all the technical issues I deal with every time I record one of these. You think it takes me 5 minutes to record these things, when in reality, it typically ends up taking me an hour. Got to record it, got to write it, got to record it, got to upload it, got to re-record it. It's a big mess. All right. Today is a continuation about the conversation we had yesterday about life coaches. I was a little harsh yesterday, but necessarily so. Let me ask you a question. When honestly considering the forward path to authentically recovering from emotional disorders and authentically escaping emotional unhealth, here's the question. Is the important thing that the people you go to for help be caring and have good intentions? What do you think? Is that the thing that matters? Imagine you're a person suffering from some kind of emotional disorder or some kind of emotional unhealth. It's ruining your life. It's been ruining your life for 20, 30 years. You genuinely, you really want to get better from this thing. Is what is most important to you that the people you go to for help, that they be caring and to have good intentions? Well, if those are the elements that you're looking for, you might want to make an adjustment there. That is not the most important thing. If you really want to get better, the most important thing for you, the most important elements in the help that you seek out is not that help be caring and to have good intentions. So what is? What is the most important element that you're looking for that will genuinely help you achieve what you're trying to do? Well, first of all, let's talk about these people who are caring and have good intentions. Do you understand that these types of people, more often than not, are enablers? Yeah, the people who are the most caring and have the best intentions, these people are enablers. You don't want those sorts of people. They enable people to remain unhealthy. You see, their caring almost always translates into showing more concern for what? If a person is known as being unusually caring, what does that translate into? It translates into showing more concern for not upsetting you than in you truly getting better. Their business model, in fact, if we're talking about life coaches who are caring and have good intentions, their business model relies on their number of followers. So how do you get the greatest number of followers? You do that by saying things people are already thinking or feeling. Did you not know that? That's how you get the greatest number of followers on the internet. You say things that people are already feeling and thinking. In other words, what they already agree with. You do not accomplish the greatest number of followers by telling people things they don't want to hear, that they disagree with, and that they'll have a violent emotional reaction to. Do you see the problem? The life coach model depends on numbers of followers. That's the business model. How do you get the greatest number of followers? You say what people are already thinking and feeling. What's the way to get healthy? Hearing things you don't want to hear, being told things you don't want to be told, doing things you don't really want to do. That's how you get healthy. If you're somebody who has an emotional disorder who is emotionally unhealthy and you really want to get better, what's the only thing that matters when we go to somebody for help with these sorts of things? I'm going to tell you, the only thing that matters is that the person you go to genuinely understands the root causes of what it is you are dealing with for real. They're able to provide you concrete, accurate insights about how these causes came to be. What sorts of attitudes and behaviors are obstructing you from ever getting better. And this will inherently involve them outright challenging your thinking and attitudes, as well as explaining to you the commonly accepted and most popularly embraced teachings on these things that are false. And they'll also tell you why they're false. Do you know that nobody authentically and permanently rids themselves of emotional disorders when they accept as truth 100% of what the professional community teaches? You've never heard me say that so directly, but what I've just said is true. Nobody who believes everything the professional psychological community says will ever rid themselves of their emotional disorder authentically and permanently. Why not? Because enmeshed with all the accurate things that they tell you is a bunch of stuff that is just utter bullshit. This means that anybody who has ever gotten better in an authentic and permanent way has had to deviate from and challenge at some point the things the professional community as a group teaches. Isn't that remarkable? That anybody who is not willing to do that will be imprisoned forever in their emotional disorder if they just buy as gospel everything the professional community says. So let me tell you about my aunt. My aunt is the epitome of a life coach. She's known as being the person you go to if you're suffering from addiction. In fact, she has a strong, positive reputation as being a great, caring, sacrificing help to addicts, alcoholics, people suffering from depression, and so on and so forth. How did she get this reputation? She got it by being welcoming and caring. Now, using your critical thinking, so what I'm asking you to do is to ignore your feelings for a minute in the interest of clear, honest thought. Does the fact that my aunt is welcoming and caring qualify her to be considered a real help for people with addictions? Let me tell you a little bit more about her, and while I'm describing the real details of her real life, I want you to think about all the life coaches out there on the internet, and I'd like you to ask yourself if you believe the majority of them are doing more good or more harm. So here's my aunt. Her husband, my uncle, was a drug addict who died from an overdose. She has a son who's a drug addict who spent years in rehab. She has 3 nephews who are drug addicts and have all depended on her for comfort and help in knowing what to do over the years. You know one of the nephews I'm talking about because I just mentioned him this past week in the episode of the last Symptom podcast. I attended his funeral. He died from a drug overdose. My brother goes to this aunt all the time as a struggling alcoholic. Her bio on social media reads in part, "I have a passion for helping those affected by addiction." Let me ask you, what is the disconnect here? Did you pick up on it? Isn't the real question, why? Why are all of these people around her becoming addicts in the first place? And how is she contributing to this? Because she's in that mix. You see, she's in that formula. How is she contributing to it? Or at least, how is she not hindering this from occurring in the first place? Isn't that the real question that needs to be asked? Isn't that the thing that needs to be examined? You see, nobody needs advice from somebody whose entire family is mysteriously walking around with addictions and emotional problems, and who thinks that managing the problems after they've already been allowed to occur is the answer. I'm not a life coach. I'm a person with real answers for you. For people who are not used to getting real answers, I dig deep into places that the people, you're not used to people digging. I want to get to the bottom of things. I want to find, where is this all coming from? Identify that, address it, fix it. The things I tell you aren't always in agreement with what books tell you or your therapist tells you, because my personal experience from having recovered from borderline personality disorder in an authentic way gave me the insight to know that some of those things in the books and what the therapists are telling you are utter bullshit. My interest is not in having the reputation as being the most welcoming and caring person in your life. My interest is instead on what matters. Telling you the truth, whether you like it or not, by the way. Sharing concrete, reliable insights. And how you respond to that information is not my concern. In other words, if I know that something that I have to tell you in the interest of you getting healthy is going to put a hair in your biscuit, guess what? Tough. I'm going to tell you anyway. If it's true and you need to know it in order to get from here to there, I'm going to tell you. I don't care how many followers I have. So, am I a life coach? No, I'm not a life coach. I'm not anywhere near or similar to a life coach. I reject that title. I'm a guy with an experience. I'm a teacher. I'm willing to share what I have learned from my own experience with you. That's it. I reject these titles. Life coach, influencer. I'm not any of those things. I'm Brian Barnett. I work with the last Symptom. I'm here to, as long as I can, tell you things that you got to hear if you're somebody out there who genuinely wants to escape emotional unhealth and get better. But the beginning of this conversation was all about beware of life coaches, and that whole theme there that we've been talking about now for the past couple of days fits into the theme of avoiding anything that is misdirection, that seems good, seems like it's working in your favor, but it's getting you nowhere. It's quicksand. It's quicksand. It really is not doing anything for you, all right? So, I'm not out here to tell you which life coaches are the bad ones and which ones are the good ones. I'm just telling you to be careful. Don't get distracted by what seems to be moving you forward but is not. That is just misdirection. You know, all misdirection adds years to your recovery. You know, you want to be on the other side of this sooner rather than later, I'm sure. So you have to be smart. You have to identify what seems like is wise and beneficial, but that is really just robbing you of time and energy and getting you nowhere. And that is the reason for this whole conversation about beware of life coaches.